everyone. I'm starting a bit early today because my sleep has been really screwy the past couple of days, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be able to stay awake till 9 o'clock. So I thought, well, other than sit here moping and waiting, I might as well start the stream an hour early, and just to get on with things. So I will just check that I put these settings back properly. Yeah, 50%. Yeah, hardcore seasonal. We'll be on Act 3. Yes, no, just a combination of my chronic fatigue and my sleep apnea and some warm weather. Means the last 3 days my sleep has just been all sorts of weird hours. I've actually been, well, the previous 2 days I'd ended up going and having a nap in the afternoon. I haven't done that today, so I was starting dozing off about an hour ago, but if I can get on and start streaming, that will at least focus me enough for at least a couple of hours. Let's just check. 666. So yeah, no, we're gonna, Act 4 would have been the bounties we're gonna do next. So yes, apologies for the short notice, but honestly it was either get up and do something or fall asleep. Wake up who knows when, and probably not stream at all tonight. So
Your defenses are nothing.
Right, that.
The light grows.
So yeah, it's been an odd day, really. I did time going to the supermarket this morning. Well, there was no queue to get in. With the lockdown and social distancing, is quite often a 10 to 15 minute queue to get into the supermarket to do shopping, but there wasn't one today. There was only one person in front of me, and we were getting straight in, so that was fine. But then I spent 2 hours deleting a spare install of something from the PC, which I will talk about a bit later. So yeah, we were kind of 1-1, we were at a draw at that point. But then the last of the toys I ordered last month arrived.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Star Wars Black Series Cara Dune figure. So Gina Carano's joined Lilith, Tina, Mercy and Farah on the shelf of awesome.
I'm just warming up.
Yeah, then it was like 2-1 up on the day. But then the sleep and fatigue was causing issues, so I'm at a 2-all draw at the moment. If I can manage to stream for 2 hours, then that'll be 3-2, and I can call today a win. So, for anyone who may be watching for the first time, hello. This is a hardcore run on Diablo 3 that I'm doing because right now I only need one more trophy to get the Platinum Trophy on Diablo 3, and it will also be my first Platinum Trophy. And that Platinum Trophy involves getting to level 70 in hardcore mode. I began with 3 trophies to get. 2 of those were defeating Diablo and Malatiel on hardcore mode, and I did that last week. I did that in an extra stream I did last Saturday. So really it's just the journey to 70 now, and we're at level 39 at the moment after 3 sessions, but now that I can hopefully kind of get the XP building a bit quicker. I reckon at the very most 3 more sessions and I'll have managed it. 2 if I get lucky. But what I would really like is the luck I had I wasn't sure if I had a gem socketed just to get bonus XP in general. Up, I was tempted to maybe increase the difficulty to up 1 again just to get more XP, but I'm kind of playing it safe, so not wanting to chance it. Having not exactly PC wars, but the last couple of days I've been trying to get Fantasy Star Online 2 installed and running on my PC, which has not been easy. You would think after 8 years for Microsoft obviously putting the money out for the exclusivity, you would think it would have made it a bit easier to get working, but no. To begin with, the game would not let me install it to anything other than the internal SSD drive, which didn't have enough space on it. It wouldn't let me install to the second drive in the PC, seemingly because for some reason this is the only game I have ever owned that needs the hard drive to be formatted on TFS. there is a third-party program called PSO2 Tweaker. Tried getting things working using that. That let me install to the drive, but ultimately it wouldn't run properly. So eventually I ended up found that one of my external HDs, the smallest one I've got, but also the one with the most free space on it, happened to be NTFS formatted, so I managed to get installed on that and get everything working. And played it for a couple of hours, and it's good, but I really wish it had come out 8 years ago. If it had come out 8 years ago, there wouldn't have been anything else quite like it, at least on a system you have hooked up to a telly. I mean, there was stuff, there was the two Phantasy Star portables on the PSP and Monster Hunter mainly on the PSP, but yeah, there wasn't really much apart from the original Phantasy Star on console, and if it came out then, I think it would have cleaned up. Unfortunately, these days there's all sorts of things that have been influenced by the original Phantasy Star Online, like Monster Hunter World, Toten 1 and 2, God Eater 1, 2 and 3, Gundam Breaker, even, you know, Destiny and Warframe to an extent. And yeah, this is an 8-year-old game. And it's not that really that big a step up from the PlayStation portable games, if I'm to be honest. There's some nice stuff it adds, but I mean, I'm sure I'll go back to it, go back and play some more at some point when gaming wise things are a bit quieter, but I mean, I've got so many other games vying for your time. Not quite going to get it yet, at least. But I would certainly recommend giving it a go and seeing if, you know, I mean, it could well be the fact that it took me a couple of days of messing about to get it working is maybe tainting my feelings about it a bit. But yeah, out of the like 350 or so games I've got in the PC game library, it's the only game that has needed the hard drive to be formatted in a certain way, and it's just why weird. But there you go. In the PSN sale, so I did play just over an hour of Red Dead Redemption Online. I felt if I was going to start the actual story, I needed a decent amount of time to like get immersed in it and stuff. So I thought I'll give the online a quick go, and yeah, have fun with that. Got an idea from Assassin's Creed Syndicate as to the character to make, so got the Bloody Nora and her adventures in the Wild West. And in fact, I created a character called Bloodino over on Fantasy Star Online as well. So it stabs lots of things with swords and knives. But I started very dead, bought some clothes, got a couple of outfits as rewards for something, probably because of the edition that I bought. Was disappointed I need to be considerably higher rank to buy a sombrero. Because I think about 90% of the original Red Dead Redemption Online I played as your typical rotund Mexican bandit with the sombrero and the bandoleros. I did the first multiplayer mission, which kind of wish I'd gotten a screenshot. That's the three-person team we ended up with. One kind of looks like Doug McClure with a moustache. The other was a large gentleman wearing no shirt with bright blonde hair and moustache and a hat. They went AWOL at some point during the mission. I don't actually know what happened to them. Doug McClure, I saw fly off his horse, but it was more like his horse kind of tumbled and collapsed, and he fell off in front of me. And I was going too fast and he was too close for me to get out of the way, so I ran over them. But I then stopped and gave them a lift to the destination because the horse had actually died from whatever had happened. I made it through the mission, so and that kind of opened up the entire open world to me. So I'll go back to that at some point. I was a bit worried because few people have mentioned that there's a lot of just slightly fussy, things are a bit too detailed and kind of maybe get in the way of just having fun, but not been too bad, not been bad so far from what I've played from the hour I have played it. Certainly doesn't feel like you're going to be like constantly having to keep an eye on half a dozen things and like some kind of survival games.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Oh, it's one of these ones, yeah. Find the hell portal, go through the hell portal, kill the shamans. This way. Weather's not too bad today. I had to have the fan on a bit in the morning. That button. Keep it in teleport instead of meteor. games, just testing things out. It's been just watching a few wee things on YouTube. This has not been helped with the PS4 YouTube app having been not working properly for a week now. But luckily I've got the Switch and PC hooked up to the TV, so just
I need to go back.
go back, speak to Tyrael, get a present.
The world is safe. You have finished all the bounties.
Let's see if we've got anything. Anything good? We've got some new helmets, but that's vitality, we don't want that. Well, that'll give us more intelligence, which is always good. Okay, how much is that gonna... Not a huge amount, but we'll do. Yeah, stick with that at least just for a little bit longer. Has that all got? Yeah. Okay, right, check. Just have a wee check my skills. No, that's not what I wanted. No, we don't have the disintegrator one yet. Teleport, yeah. No, I'll keep it the way it is. I'll just leave that the way it is, and probably that as well. And yeah, we need to be 61 to unlock the black hole, so we'll just leave that the way it is at the moment. And off to Act 5. Yeah, Azael is not one of the bosses. Malthael is though. But we did okay against him the other night, so... Actually, I think I'm now at about the same level. My Demon Hunter I'm currently running through on non-hardcore is because the season is probably ending in a week or maybe a week and a half. So I've been running to get my because I want to. Each season you get Hedwig's gift, which gives you a different set of armour depending on what character you open it with. And I'm wanting to get the Demon Hunter armour for it, because I do have a Demon Hunter armour set from the previous season, but it does not fit my playstyle at all. It's basically just been waiting until one came along and it wasn't a month that I wanted, you know, one for one of the other classes. Hello, Simon. Just when you're dozing off around tea time, I thought I'll start early. Hopefully focusing will keep me awake, and there's more chance of me not falling asleep before 8 o'clock than there is of not falling asleep before 9. Basically I had tea and neck, and if I sat here I was just going to fall asleep, so I thought, well, I might as well just start early, get going. And here we are. Really messy the last few days again, and I will get myself up and fired when I've been awake at 4 in the morning. In a considerable amount of what I can only call fannying about, when I could have been doing other stuff. Most of that involving either getting back to Online 2 for work, or deleting the spare install of it because of how I was trying to get it working.
I didn't think I could get any better.
But it turns out the data directory of Star Online 2 is 67 gig and is over 90,000 files. And so it took over 2 hours for the computer to delete that, which was a pain in the bum. Just realised I did not. Why did I not get any? There's been a distinct lack of recipes for the blacksmith this season compared to other seasons. Maybe it's because I'm playing a normal. It's saying it started Hyrule Warriors. It's great fun, and as I mentioned to you on text. Hell yeah, the first 3 characters you get, Link and her, and Zelda are all incredibly fun to play as. Well, glad I could help you fulfill that wish, Corvette. Enemies have gone down. Normally I wouldn't be bothered, but because this is a hardcore run, I'm not chancing it. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I didn't get any from this one. And there was one of the ones during the last session didn't get any either. It's just, it's weird. But I said it might just be that I'm usually normally when I'm playing this, I'm playing it on hard or expert, because I'm not having to worry about dying. So I'm wondering if that maybe changes just the levels I was in the erratic cache. That's all.
Can't carry more.
Okay, let's go back to time. Just clear out my pockets. Just to recheck this. Wait a minute. Okay, why do I not have...
Doesn't our friend ever tire? I've hardly seen him rest since we met.
Yeah, why do I not have
Now
that
you know
equipped
why
on there?
angels and demons fear the Nephilim, Lorath.
Yeah, that was weird. My gem wasn't equipped. There's a big lad.
Do I know of the Realm Walker? Very little. He roams the outskirts of Pandemonium, a lumbering giant with a gaping hollow at its core. Somehow,
Okay,
it can
hold on.
hide its body away, disguising itself as a mere portal. Those who pass through it are trapped in a distant world, never to be seen again.
Well, let's give it a go. Get this, we shall see. So, gaming news this week. Sega have announced the Game Gear Micro, which is not what I expected or wanted, but it looks fun. I still hold out hope that a Burning Rangers HD gets announced at some point. Because it'd be nice to play Burning Rangers with a console that isn't falling in its arse trying to run the game. Also, the next Destiny expansion seems to be being announced on 5, 6, 7, 8 on Tuesday. I'll be honest, it's gonna take something special to get me back to Destiny, I think. It would take like well, I say significant amount of stuff. It'd be the same sort of amount of stuff that got added in like Forsaken or Shadowkeep. It's going to be that size of an expansion, and yeah, I'll go back to it for a bit, but it's going to be it's going to launch the same time these expansions usually launch. Then it's going to be September or October.
How does that feel?
Which is right around Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed Valhalla time, so yeah. Which is a shame because I do absolutely love the core gameplay of Destiny 2, but it's just become a bit much of a grind without feeling like you're actually accomplishing enough. Whereas Borderlands 3, just because of the sheer randomness of the weapon drops, I've been having a lot more fun with that. But the big news, and the reason I will be streaming a certain game if I am up to doing an extra stream over the weekend, is they have announced the remaster re-release of Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. One of my favourite games of the last console generation. Kind of overlooked because it came out in that insane 6-month period that started with Skyrim, had Kingdoms of Amalur in the middle, and had Dragon's Dogma at the other end. And while Skyrim and Dragon's Dogma have both been re-released on current systems, Kingdoms of Amalur hadn't. There are good reasons for that, involving bankruptcies and Rhode Island funding, and an ex-baseball player being a bit of a git. But they seem to have all been ironed out, so it'll be great to see it on PS4 and Xbox One. I don't know what the PC release is going to entail, because the original 2012 version still looks pretty damn good, thanks to the art style, which is very kind of World of Warcraft, you know, a little bit cartoony. And it does say it's going to have the DLC, but I'm wondering,
Your defenses are nothing.
it may not necessarily have everything, because there was some Mass Effect related armor and weapons you could get. Yeah, so saying yeah, he thinks Dragon's Dogma distracted him from it, because he went in really hard on that, and so did I.
We found
Eventually.
something we can use.
What are you talking
Sadly.
about? What are we doing? I just started something I didn't actually want to.
I will protect you.
You will you? Okay. What are we doing? Yeah, it was just when I checked earlier today I realised, yeah, Skyrim, Amler and Dragon Dogma all came out within one 6-month period. It's like 3 amazing RPGs, all with their own quirks. Two of them with a decent helping of jank. Kingdoms of Amler is actually probably the least janky of them all.
To me, I will protect you.
All the behind the scenes problems behind that game, the actual game itself is pretty solid. Yeah, I think the reason I really got into Kingdoms of Amalur was because it felt like a single player MMO. But with, you know, real-time combat. Combat is actually quite like the Darksiders games.
To me, I will protect you.
Need more arcane power.
You shall join me inside my eternal prison. It is unfortunate that Kurokos corrupted. The great weapon was created in response to a siege on the Pandemonium Fortress by Kurokos.
Okay, I've only just now realised that I cannot actually fire
siege beast.
my... Oh, that's why. Right, when I was mucking about earlier, I completely futzed that up.
At great cost to ourselves, we channeled much energy into the great weapon.
Yeah, blah blah blah. No, I'll leave the cemetery to the last. I always like the cemetery to the last.
And succeeded in bringing down Kurokos and his mount. Upon his death, the demon was
And the other thing
drawn
with the 3
inexplicably
RPGs was they were
into
all
the weapon, and
different
it has
enough
been
from one
attacking
another
us ever
that
since.
they were all worth giving a go. One was first person, 2 were third person. They all had like their own different takes on the combat. And at some point I need to go back to Dragon's Dogma because I did pick up PS4. I got a couple of hours in, but I got distracted because I never did bit of Black Isle in the Darkness and so I need to do that at some point. If they would just stop releasing awesome games for, you know, 6 months or so.
How does that feel?
Yeah, I preloaded the PSN account with money last month because I knew the Days of Play sale would be coming. So I got Red Dead Redemption 2. I got the Control Season Pass because my friend Scott very nicely said he'd send me his copy. And that meant I could get another game, so it was between two things. It was between Days Gone or Jedi Fallen Order, and I went to Jedi Fallen Order just because I'm in a bit of a Star Wars mood at the moment with various things. Of course, if I'd remembered about the Outer Worlds, I probably would have picked the Outer Worlds up, but I kind of forgot that it was a game. That's how I say picked up the Takeover and Phoenix Wright trilogy. Yeah, I would have picked if there hadn't been quite so much good stuff in the PSN sale. I would have probably picked up the Takeover. There was that and the new Shanty game, but I've still got 2 other Shanty games to complete on the Switch, so it wasn't a case of what needed to get it day one. But by all accounts, the new Shanty game is great fun. Just enough left over to get something, one of the PlayStation Hits games that was on sale. So because I'd gotten Uncharted 1, 2, 3 and 4 through the PS Plus, I picked up Lost Legacy for £9. So one of my plans over the summer is to get started on the Uncharted games, because I've never played any of them. And I hear good things about them. Yeah, from what I've been reading about Outer Worlds, it's a case of only get it on Switch if that's your only option. They say it's still good, but there's just there's just slightly too much many compromises being made. I think that was Eurogamer, so that might have even been Digital Foundry saying that, I'm not sure. But yeah, I was in a Star Wars mood, partly because of Battlefront 2 being one of the PS Plus games this month, which I already own. But it's a case, oh well, if I reinstall it, there'll be plenty of new players who are as rubbish at me at it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Digital Foundry will probably put up a proper video at some point about it. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order is half price, so nabbed it. Because as fun as Days Gone does look, I've already got Dead Island Riptide, Dying Light, and on PC I got World War Z free from the Epic Games Store a while back. And I can recommend World War Z. Actually, I didn't keep it on at the time because I needed to free up a bit of hard drive space, but now that the space I kept free, thinking I would need it for Phantasy Star Online has not been used for Phantasy Star Online, I might just reinstall it. And also out today, and in fact it will have unlocked, I think about 50 minutes ago, is a Command and Conquer Remastered collection, which is Command and Conquer and Red Alert and the expansions, all remastered and tweaked, and it's Petroglyph who've done a lot of the work on them, so a good number of ex-Westwood staff there. And
Stench down here is almost as
thank what's his name, who composed all the music, has remastered all the soundtracks, and they've remastered all the cutscenes, and they've even got the guy who played Kane has come back after a 10-year hiatus just to do a promo video that went up today. And yes, it is. The thing points out, yeah, it was 25 years ago the original came out, and I'm like, God, really? And yeah, really.
your grave awaits.
And it also reminded me that I have not played Command and Conquer Red Alert 3 yet on the UPC.
I'm
It ran
unstoppable.
kind of okay on PC I had before the tweaked one. But I'd also forgotten just how crazy awesome the cast of Command and Conquer Red Alert 3 and the expansion is. Josh Takei,
If only they could see
John
me now.
Price, J.K. Simmons, Malcolm McDowell, Tim Curry, Gina Carano, Ric Flair, Randy Couture. I'd completely forgotten Peter Stormare is the scientist dude.
Your senses are nothing.
Come on, it must be, yeah, one enemy remaining. One poor sword in one of the corners. Off to the cemetery. Oof. Also just realised the volume's still up on the telly. Put that down. And also it very much looks like the Steam sale will be starting kind of last week of this month. So that will be fine because I will have a payment right in the middle of the Steam sale. So when 2/3 of my wish list goes on sale again like it did last time, mainly weird Japanese indie shoot 'em ups.
My power grows.
Oh, it's another portal one. Hopefully this is one where they clean the shrines. Yeah, right. So here is just go activate all these as quickly as possible, because as long as we get them all activated, I will get the bonus.
Need more time. I'm so good, I astound myself.
One more, there we go. I'll just wait here and anyone can come to me. That's what's probably going to happen once I've got the platinum for this. Is Fridays will kind of just become a miscellaneous thing for at least a few weeks. I'll just be assuming just different random bits and pieces for a while I'll continue with Assassin's Creed Syndicate on the Monday nights. So I want to at least have one night where I basically go through what's on my old Xbox 360. Because they're like, oh, I forgot that existed. And I forgot that existed as well. No, that's a dexterity. Well, that's more intelligence. But not a huge amount. Well, that's it. Oh no, that's decent. It's got 2 sockets, so yeah, that'll do. Did you get any recipes this time?
Thank you for coming here. There are many bounties to undertake nearby.
No, the recipes again. I'm wondering if maybe just certain recipes are tied to certain difficulty levels. Move from what's not fit. That socket. A couple of them in. And we're back to Act 1. Yeah, I think the only game I can think that's kind of coming out over the summer before September is possibly the next Dark Pictures anthology episode. Next in the summer.
I'm just warming up.
And there's Gundam versus Maxibus, but it's
about that for a while.
not a priority. If it was a new good Gundam Breaker game it would be, but it's not. It's the kind of arena fighting game, which I've had a lot of fun with, but I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Oh, and I can't remember if I mentioned it on stream or not, but the Street Fighter 5 is getting another season of fighters, which was unexpected because I think everyone kind of thought that was it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Get away. As to who I hope is in it. Oh, here's the thing. Tammy's my main. Tammy is 2 minutes from the start. My other main in Street Fighter games is there, but they changed the moveset so much that I don't like him anymore, and that's Ibuki. So really, to begin with, I was like, well, there's no one I want really, but then I started thinking,
It is of the utmost importance that we secure my mana from the traitorous rabble in Tristram. The caves to the east are too close to my land. They must be blocked, completely
and I finally
obstructed.
want Mike Haga to be a playable character in a actually be playable in a Street Fighter game and not just a Capcom versus game. Yeah, I did see Maximilian's video. Yeah, because it was funny because Dudley was a character I'd never really used because I'd never played much Street Fighter 3. Just because the home versions weren't easy to get hold of on whatever systems we had at the time. And then when I did, I just didn't quite get it at the time. And it was only really with the Xbox 360 online edition release that I kind of started to get into it. And then
is no longer able to separate
was when Dudley was in Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
To be filled with the Archbishop's
I started messing about with the team of him and Elena, and found out
legendary ancients themselves once dwelled
yeah, Dudley
there,
was
but now
not.
we must desecrate their ruins.
He does have one charge move, but on the whole, Dudley is not a charge character. Which meant instantly, I'm like, oh right, okay, well what can we do then? Because I get on better with motion characters than charge ones. And yeah, after playing them in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I was like, I like you. And then when they brought the Street Fighter characters that weren't in Street Fighter 4, but were in Cross Tekken over, him and Elena were both in along with Poison and others, and it was like, yay! Which is why Street Fighter 4 is Ultra Street Fighter 4 is still my favourite Street Fighter. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max or Upper is my second favourite. And 5 at this point is probably my third favourite, but it wasn't for a while. It took a while to get there. Akira would be tops, yeah. I did like Max's suggestion to put the rival schools character in, but I did not agree with his choice. It was like, no, if we're going to have a rival schools character, I want either Akira or Kyoko. Oh, and there was a new Namco Retro Collection announced for Japan, but it is seemingly getting released in 2 volumes over here as well. So it's more of a... in Japan, I think it's you download the front end and then you can just buy the games individually, but they're releasing them in packs over here. And I was like, oh, interested, until I found that it looks very much like it's the NES versions of everything, and not the arcade ones. And I'm like, why? There have been so many substandard Namco collections at this point. The set of collections they did on the PlayStation 1, I think it was 5 volumes maybe, they were fantastic. They covered a lot in them. really liked the Namco Museum on the PlayStation Portable. But every single collection, it's like missing so much stuff that could be on there. Yeah, I did see the Mega Drive collection and the SNK collections was on sale on the Switch at the moment.
Of the original 427 Crusaders who disappeared into the East, 341 returned. Do they still seek the redemption of their faith? How will they react to the destruction of the city that birthed their crusade?
It is so good that a lot of people are quite possibly discovering Piled Upon for the first time in its original form. Because it was always Tetris Attack in a lot of places. I think you've got a Yoshi skin in one instance. And then the version I played a lot of was Planet Puzzle League on the DS. Which was awesome because you could use the stylus to choose and move the blocks, and it worked really well. That might be, I should really buy. I need to check exactly what Neo Geo stuff is available on the Switch, because one of the puzzle baubles and Magical Drop 3, and it's like you've got just about all the really good kind of arcadey puzzle things on there. Because there's two good Tetrises, two good Puyo Puyos. There's Lumines.
I can't carry anymore.
Oh no! His pockets is full again. Although there's one missing, and that's Upoko, which is a cave arcade puzzle game, which we always used to end up calling because of what happens when you fail, the floaty dead cat game, because you play this yellow cat who's stuck under the sea, and it's matching bubble. It's a bit like it's almost reverse Puzzle Bobble, and instead of shooting bubbles up and matching them, you kind of found them down into a pile of them and matching them. But oh yeah, I am so glad I did not pick up Wild Guns Reloaded, because it's seemingly just as difficult, if not possibly more so. I've got another helmet, but I need a helmet that's got something significantly. Not really, no. I'll just keep that one. And for now, also just have a quick look at the armors. Ooh. Okay. Do I have the other bits of that? Build yourself a new armor set. Yeah, that'll do. Give me a socket, give me a socket, give me a socket. Oh, come on, give me a socket. Socket, give. Yeah. Now go on, give intelligence version. Okay, there's nothing not part of it there. That's still that one. That's still that, and the ultimatum. I forget what this set's big bonus is, but we don't want one with vitality on it, we want one with intelligence. Thank you. Yeah, it's minus 2% damage from all attacks. So it's not a huge amount, but it'll be useful. Socket in that. And socket in that. And just salvage everything. There. Keep them because they might come in useful later. We'll stick them in the stash. And back to the caves. Yeah, the number of Jaleco games that have been released on the SNES Online recently gives me hope. Gives me hope we might see R-Type 3 the Third Lightning on there. That's a fantastic shoot-'em-up.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Guys, well, have we got another guys? Alright, we've got another guys, so I didn't actually need to go back there. Well done. Okay. Yeah, getting along with Sony's announcement thing being delayed. The PC Games one got delayed as well, so I don't know when that's getting moved to. But there was one bit of news I was looking forward to for that. That was the Torchlight 3 release date. I know it's going to be this year sometime, so. And I'm still working my way through 2 on the Switch, so. Yes, they dare. The contemptible backbots that they are.
Stronger still.
viewing plans for the weekend are to hopefully sit and binge The Mandalorian.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Because I still have not quite gotten around to it. And maybe even starting Picard if I'm lucky. I've got a few short series I have to get to work on. Because I could have watched half of it one night, but it was a night to lighten up the mood. I was watching Pat Gorman playing a murderous creature terrorising a remote Scottish island and worrying sheep. So watching The Nightmare Man, a 4-part sci-fi horror thing from BBC made in 1981 that often feels like a lost Hinchcliffe era Doctor Who story. It's adapted from a book. I can't remember who wrote the book, but Robert Holmes did the TV adaptation. Directed by Douglas Camfield, who directed a lot of really good Doctor Who's. It's got a lot of people who you'll be going, oh yeah, they went Doctor Who once. Got James Warwick, who was the sergeant in, or the captain even, in Earthshock. Celia Imrie, who was in The Bells of St. John's. You got Maurice Reeves, who was in Caves Androzani. He's not been Doctor Who, but James Cosmo is in it. And Pat Gorman, of course, who's been in more minutes of Doctor Who than several of the actors who've actually played the Doctor. For like the first half of the first episode, you do keep expecting it to cut to a shot of the TARDIS materialising on the island somewhere.
Dark arts. Now I finally reap the rewards. For Magda has acknowledged me. She promised me a special task that will bring endless glory to the Great One. I can hardly rest until she reveals it on the morrow.
Yes, this ritual involves putting something large and spiky up your arse. I'm afraid it won't be quite as enjoyable as you were hoping for, mate. Also want to play Star Wars Battlefront again, just because of some footage someone showed of the Ewok hunt mode at night time on Endor, which they described as the best asymmetrical multiplayer horror game ever made. And yeah, you got like team of stormtroopers with the flashlights. It's night time in the forest, and the Ewoks are in the trees. And just because of the graphical quality of everything in Battlefront 2, it looks absolutely awesome. And I never got round to, although people say it's, you know, it's just a bunch of multiplayer missions with bots. I want to go through the single player. Oh, that's the other one in October. Is Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, which I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully it'll have a character creator as good as the one in Lego DC Super Villains, which is absolutely amazing. And if they can have that with just all Star Wars bits, then yeah, that'll be possibly the best Star Wars game ever. So yeah, we just need to find another 96 or so monsters on this level. Awesome. So hello to the new viewers. We are basically playing Diablo 3 in hardcore mode because I need one more trophy to get the platinum, and that's level 70 in hardcore mode. So I'm taking it easy, I'm not taking chances, we're just playing on normal difficulty, but we're just slowly getting there, and we're just chilling and chatting about bits and pieces.
We'll rip these fruits to shreds.
And we are doing it in season mode, in adventure mode, but we're not actually going for the season rewards, because I've got another character not in hardcore mode. I'm doing the seasonal, going for the seasonal rewards one.
Not ready yet. I need arcane power.
Look at the best looks in the teleport and meteor buttons around, because the amount of times I've been hitting teleport instead of meteor. It hasn't killed me yet, but it only needs to happen once. It's in the trees. It's coming. Yeah, other game playing this last few days since Monday stream has just kind of been testing a few things just to make sure they work, but not actually sitting down and playing them properly. Again, because my fatigue's been pretty bad this week, I haven't even gotten the Overwatch and Borderlands event stuff done that I was hoping to get done. But I've got plenty of good weapons in the out of the Borderlands thing when I did do it, and I got plenty of good stuff out of the Overwatch events, so no too bothered.
Your defenses are nothing.
Check which walls Overwatch is over the weekend. on the PV stuff. Maybe just pop back in and get this week's challenge skin.
My knowledge increases.
But yeah, once the event's finished, that'll probably be me not playing Overwatch again until the next event where PV Vol comes in. As I mentioned previous streams, it'd be nice if Overwatch 2 is a release for near the end of this year, but who knows when they're actually eventually going to release that. At least you get the sense that and Diablo 4 are a bit closer than whatever Bethesda's working on at the moment.
This is a curious.
We're cut off. They'll be upon us at any moment.
Oh no!
Stand firm, brothers, and they will sing of our valor through the ages. The enemy is here for glory.
Skewer the Nephilim!
For the Horde! No, wrong game.
Feeling. We are not the first to have fought this skirmish.
No, it's possibly caught in some sort of timey-wimey thing. Where's the last one? It's Go Kill the Butcher, our old friend. It's been a couple of weeks since we've seen him. I think the last time I saw the Butcher was probably when I was demonstrating my end game wizard build.
I'm so good, I astound myself.
That I've got on another character. Took the Butcher out in a few seconds on Torment 9. Of course, the thing is, after I've gotten the platinum in this, then there's still all the trophies for the Necromancer expansion to get. So that will also involve playing a Necromancer. So I will maybe wait and do that when the skip has a good Necromancer set. I do have a Necromancer set, but I can't remember which one it is. Or what it actually is. But I don't think it was the one I actually really wanted.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Something else fun and gaming related I did see. There's a short Pokemon cartoon out. It's very much like 40s and 50s style cartoon with Scraggy and Mimikyu as the main Pokemons in it. And it's a lot of fun. That reminds me a little bit of some of the art and design in Cuphead a bit, just the animation style. Get out of the way. No. Bunch of stuff another round of bounties done.
I need to go back.
Hi, evening, Scott. We're still muddling along on a journey to level 70.
There are more.
Oh, I've got at least one set of plans this time. What? There we go. Demon Skin, Hull Defenders, and the Star Spine, which is a crossbow, but we will have a look at it. See what ones we've got. Well, we couldn't equip it yet anyway, it's a level 57, so... Yeah, I started early today because my fatigue and sleep have been weird, and it was a case of I was starting to doze off on the sofa after my tea, so I thought either I get up and start streaming now, or I'm going to fall asleep here and wake up in about 2 or 3 hours having missed half the stream. Oh yeah, we've got this mace, which does a lot of damage, but it's a slow attack, and it's two-handed, so not really worth it for a wizard. Let's see, what's that? No intelligence on that, so not worth equipping that. Do we have any other belts we could build? That one's a bit better. Salvage everything, repair everything. And on to the next set. Back to the deserts. So yeah, Scott, we've basically just been chatting about some of the gaming news and bits and pieces I've been messing about with gaming wise. Including the trials and tribulations of getting Phantasy Star Online 2 working, which I did eventually, but oh, it was a pain in the arse. I don't think I've had that much difficulty installing the game on a PC since the days when you had to mess about with your auto exec files and all your Sound Blaster card IRQ settings and freeing up your memory and things. Ooh, thinking about old PC stuff just reminded me of something that I meant to download and I forgot. It looks like they put the demo for the System Shock remake up for everyone to download and have a go at. So I will have to download that because System Shock was a particular favourite of mine back in the day. I never ever came close to completing it. But been really looking forward to the remake. Just all the little teasers and trailers and things of it have looked really good.
I'm just warming up.
We were ambushed in the cave. Help the others.
Yeah, it must have been on the Good Old Games site because I was on there checking something. Because there's been a couple of things I have bought on Steam that have not worked brilliantly, but then Good Old Games have put out a version that works a lot better than the Steam one does. The first two Dungeon Siege games are the ones I can particularly think of. They have had I've had all sorts of problems getting them working over the years. But then they got added to Good Old Games a few weeks back, and suddenly they work without any problems. I mean, I'm going back to like trying to install the original disc versions I own on Windows 7. I think the last operating system they worked okay on was XP. Yeah, System Shock 2, not System Shock 2, I've never played System Shock 2. Yeah, System Shock was a very hard game, but just, I mean, you can see how things kind of led to Bioshock, where like all the findings of audio logs all over the place, and just giving you a set of tools and letting you figure out what to do with them. Oh yeah, we mentioned briefly that, yeah, I've been hearing that the Outer Worlds port for the Switch is a bit compromised. I've been hearing good things about the Bioshock port, and I was reading about the Borderlands 1, 2 and 3 sequel ports, and they're seemingly very solid ports, locked 30 frames per second, so kind of the same performance as the original Xbox 360 and PS3 versions, but more stable. Have I done everything on this bit? Yes, I think I have. Yeah, so Ancient Waterway. Oof, I've never had I've not had anything quite that bad. I know the cheap PC I had before the one I'm using now, there was some things I tried to run on it, I was getting 8 or 9 frames per second, and that was on low settings. The same things run at like high or very high settings on this at 60, so.
I don't like the look of that.
Well, hopefully you got it from somewhere where you can get the refund for it, because I know when I had the issues with the Steam versions of Dungeon Siege, I was able to get a refund from them with no problem. Because they technically ran, but they had all sorts of weird issues that stopped you from playing the game properly. Stuff like textures flickering in and out of existence, mouse pointers not existing, and main one was Dungeon Siege 1.
Your grave awaits.
Running at about 10 to 12 frames per second, no matter how powerful your hardware was.
Your defenses are nothing.
Also, though, I think the Epic Store have got a refund policy on their stuff now as well. I've only actually, apart from the free games, I've only actually bought 2 games from there. And that was because I got big money off vouchers. So yeah, I picked up Hades from there a while back, which is a lot of fun. It's not quite Diablo-like, it's more a roguelike, and it's more arcadey, but it's got great art design and voice acting, and the whole story behind what you're actually trying to do and how you keep dying and resurrecting is really nice. Yeah, I remember playing for MechWarrior 2 would have been the last PC one I played. That was back when I still had a 486.
It's always more fun to fight alongside a friend. Don't you agree?
These hunters are curious creatures, bloodthirsty and violent to others. They employ a surprising degree of care in raising their young. Every egg is guarded with vigilance, and the hunters will frequently circle overhead to keep watch on their nests.
Yes, I've got it on
Those who
PS4.
intrude upon
I've
them
played it a bit.
are most
I'm rubbish at it, but that's kind of the point of it. See, I picked it up quite a while back, and it's another of the kind of big backloggy games I've picked up in a sale that I've played for a few hours and gotten distracted by something else and never quite gotten back to. But yeah, I had a couple of party members go a bit loopy thanks to things happening. Gaming for me this week's mainly been put a couple hours into Phantasy Star Online 2 when I got it working, and it's good, it's fun, but I think it's possibly just the amount of faffing about that I had to do to get it working. It's kind of marred it a little bit for me, and I think I was maybe expecting a little bit more of a jump between the PlayStation Portable ones I played and this one. It's not a massive upgrade, which in one way is good because it means it still feels like a fun Phantasy Star game, but and the other, there's that many games that kind of taken on ideas from Phantasy Star Online and built on them or gone their own ways, like Monster Hunter, the Totodile games, the God Eaters, even like Warframe and Destiny, that it's a lot more games like it vying for your time now, which is why in one way it's good that it's free to play, but if it had released 8 years ago, around the same time it released in Japan, I think it would have cleaned up, but I kind of just think they've maybe left it too long before finally releasing it outside Japan. I'll love a game with a good narrator. Bastion has a good one. And one of my favourites is the Bard's Tale game from about 2004, 2005. Which was a completely different take on the Bard's Tale games that are more like Eye of the Beholder style things. But they turned it into an action RPG. A little bit like Diablo. But it was also massively taking the piss out of everything. And they had the great Tony J doing the narration in it. And actually, I think I got a copy of that for the PC in one of the bundles I got a couple of months back, and I haven't tried the PC version out yet. I'll have to fire that up sometime. Well, something brilliant that's been happening recently is there's some guys porting Eye of the Beholder to the Commodore 64 on the Spectrum. And both versions are looking pretty damn good. And in fact, another bunch of games I got from Good Old Games a while back is the Eye of the Beholder trilogy. That works fine on current PCs. I hadn't played a game of that type in ages and ages and ages. Then on the Nintendo DS and the 3DS I discovered the Ep4 Odyssey games that are similar sort of falling through dungeons. But instead of having to draw your map on a bit of paper, the second screen on the DS or 3DS actually has a map you fill in as you go along. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with Ep4 Odyssey now that the 3DS kind of isn't a thing anymore. If they do a Switch version, it'll be interesting to see what they do. And another excellent game, which is actually a spin-off from the Ep4 Odyssey series because it's by the same people, is the Persona Q games, which crossover games between different Persona games. The first one crosses over Personas 3 and 4, and the second one is crossing over 3, 4 and 5. And they are basically just Ep4 Odyssey, but they've added the Persona mechanics in for the battle system. And like all Persona games, it has an absolutely amazing soundtrack. And in fact, there are a couple of kind of Eye of the Beholder style dungeon crawler games out on current consoles. There's Operenzia: The Stolen Sun, which came out quite recently from Zen Software, and there's the recent Bard's Tale, which is a reboot, is an odd kind of mix, in that the dungeon crawling works as if you're playing a first-person dungeon game. Then as soon as you get into battle, it goes into the grid system. And if it didn't already have half a dozen other RPGs, to play. I would have thought about it. Yeah, I once almost started an argument on Twitter where I said, yeah, Persona 5's only got like the fourth best battle music in a Japanese RPG, until I pointed out the three above it are all from other Persona games. Yeah, Simon's Got Last Surprise is his ringtone, and I have Mass Destruction from Persona 3 as my ringtone. So if either of us gets a phone call, it's like Persona battle music. I hope to maybe get back to it at some point over the summer. But I've kind of got a priority list of a couple of things I need to finish off. Because if I finish them off, I can clear them off the hard drive and free up some space. And that's finish Final Fantasy VII Remake. I need to finish Titanfall 2's campaign, which I should be able to do in a couple of nights once I get back to it. And that'll free up another... Between them, I'll free up about 150 gig on the drive, which I can kind of do with at the moment. Space is getting tight again. Well, Scott, that has actually been one of my favourite things this console generation, has been seeing friends getting into series I've kind of been playing for a while. Because you and another friend, my friend Ash, he picked up Persona 5 as well. And I kind of feel bad that the people I kind of recommended Persona 5 to have all completed the game before I completed it. But also I've had friends getting a Monster Hunter and the Yakuza series. And the Yakuza series is another I really need to get back to, because I'm about, I think, 2/3 of the way through the main story of Yakuza 0. Oh yeah, the selection of music in for the Persona stage in Smash Brothers is top notch. My only minor complaint would be it doesn't have the Persona Q battle music or the boss music, which are both absolutely awesome. And that's another game I'm waiting to hear news on, is if Persona 5 Scramble. They have said it is definitely getting localized and released outside Japan, they just haven't said when yet. Because that'll be a day one purchase for me. And also when they announce when that's coming out, it'll be a, right, okay, now I have to get Persona 5 finished before I start on Persona 5 Scramble. Because it is a sequel. And it is actually a proper full-on canonical sequel to Persona 5. Because I did download the Japanese demo and give it a go, and yet it felt good. It had some unique takes on some of the normal Musou Warriors mechanics, with a Persona twist to them. and the music is awesome. It's partly stuff straight from Persona 5, but also some new remixes and arrangements. So yeah, with Persona, Monster Hunter and Yakuza, it's just been fantastic to see all those series gain a decent sized audience in the West now. Because it used to be you never knew, it was always, is this going to get released over here? And if it is, are they going to cut stuff out of it? Are they going to do a decent job with the localization? You need to pop back to the town. Because the first Yakuza game did get localized and released outside Japan, but they did a dub on it, and in a lot of cases it was more they went for some name actors rather than people who could actually do a decent dub. So you had Michael Madsen playing one of the characters. It did have one good casting in that they had Mark Hamill voicing Majima. Persona 5 Scramble is a Dynasty Warriors spin-off. It's basically if you saw the stream where I played some Warriors of Orochi 4, it's basically that, but with Persona characters and enemies and a whole bunch of Persona mechanics adapted to work within the battle system. So yeah, the Mr. Warriors games are kind of, I've always described them as being a kind of spiritual sequel to the old Double Dragon and Final Fight sort of beat 'em up, but on a kind of much bigger scale. And as soon as I announced it, I was like, oh, I really want to play that. But it was always a case of, is it actually going to have a proper story and everything? And yeah, from what I've seen and from what I played at the demo, it's got a proper decent story to it. It's got all the same sort of cutscenes and little events, meeting your friends and stuff, as Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royale do. But instead of having the kind of exploring the dungeons and having the turn-based battles, you are still kind of exploring dungeons, but you're having real-time, ridiculous, over-the-top fights in real time. I did prepare everything, didn't I? Just check, do I have any legendary items to... And at the moment they have said it is definitely getting released over here, but they just haven't said when. In fact, at some point I should actually re-download the demo and actually maybe play it on stream. Or wait a minute. Or maybe not, because Atlas are a bit funny about streaming Persona stuff. Yes, I just remembered what happened to one of the channels I follow when they did start a playthrough of Persona 5. Not to abandon it on the 3rd episode because news just came through that no, you can't do that. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of spin-off Warriors titles that are all based on different franchises. Because I mean, the mainline entries are the Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors games. But then you've got the Dynasty Warriors Gundam. You've got the ones based on the One Piece anime. You've got ones based on the Dragon Quest RPG games that are a lot of fun. And are partly why I really want a Final Fantasy based one sometime. And there's Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors on the Switch. And I just love the franchise genre as a whole. Yes, me and Simon did once suggest Green Chill Warriors. We like battling through the corridors of Green Chill. Mr. Bronson is a boss.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Roland is a god tier character. And at one point you have to race out the school along the street and get to the back room of the arcade before Zamo dies of the drug overdose. And that's as far as we took that concept. But saying that, there was a Green Chill kind of adventure game on the Spectrum where you could actually die from drugs. Yeah, there were some weird licensed games back in the days. Yeah, just so you know. We'd have a completely rocking out remix of that as the battle music. And that's another thing I like about the Warriors games is when you get to just rock out a bit on the remixes and of tracks from the games they're based on. Sadly, with the exception of the Dragon Quest ones, which have to use the music from the actual games because the main composer for Dragon Quest is a bit of an arse, to put it mildly. Yeah, if the capture card hadn't arrived the day it did, I was actually going to do a stream of all just some really weird licensed games from back in the Spectrum and Amiga days, because I kept finding out things that I didn't know, either I didn't know about or I didn't know forgotten about, like the Allo platform game. Perhaps luckily for Civilization as we know it, the capture card arrived early that day and I got everything up and working by the evening, so... Yeah, as you go through Hyrule Warriors, Simon, you'll be doing some really good rearrangements of some Zelda music.
I'm so good, I astound myself.
Yeah, I freely admit I have a bit of a problem with Musou and Warriors games. I own 8 of them on PlayStation 4 and 2 on the Switch. And that's not counting the 10 or so that I own for various older systems. thing is, the Missile Warriors games are one of those things where it's like, I know what I'm getting, so I'm not going to buy a Missile Warriors game and go, oh well, that's not what I was expecting. No, I know what I'm getting, and it's fun. And as long as they keep doing enough little tweaks and using it with different interesting licenses, I will keep buying the Missile games. Because they're very like this, like Diablo 3, and they're just the perfect thing to just sit down and just have a blast and have fun with, and not have to worry or think too much. At least normally. Saying that, the hardcore mode's been going okay. I've also been playing the Demon Hunter off stream as well, because I don't know exactly when the current Diablo season ends, but it's soon. It's probably in the next, sometime in the next couple of weeks. So I want to get all my Hadrig's gifts and get my Demon Hunter armor set for the season. Oh, I've not played the Ni no Kuni games, but they are very well regarded. They are another one of those games that if I felt I could concentrate on more RPGs, I would probably pick them up. But until I've kind of cleared a few of the ones I've got, I'm kind of trying to avoid picking up any more. You see, something just picked up Red Dead Redemption 2, which will probably last about 60 hours. Yeah, I was saying I kind of loaded up my PSN wallet last month because I knew the big sale was going to be this month. So it was,
I'm so good, I astound myself.
ended up picking up Jedi Fallen Order, although that was mainly because I forgot about the Outer Worlds. If I'd remembered Outer Worlds, I might have picked that up, but I forgot about it until 2 days later, and it was like, oh, I never checked if that was on sale. Well, when I eventually get through the 5 or so Final Fantasy games I've got still to play, and the Battle Chasers, and a couple of others. This is a weird thing. RPGs with turn-based battles, you like, just a few months back I thought I should start playing them again because they should be something I'm able to concentrate on even when I'm a bit fatigued and stuff. And it kind of worked, but it also didn't quite work. Because although I could focus, I couldn't quite focus long enough to keep my one game long enough.
If only they could see me now.
Yeah, that was the game. As soon as I said, oh, it'll take you up to 100 hours to play through all the stories, I was like, yeah, not going to happen. Plus, I still haven't finished Fire Emblem Awakening on the 3DS. Not to mention Wargroove and Mario and Rabbids. And again, turn-based strategy games is something I just can't quite concentrate on as well as I used to be able to.
Don't tell me that you never suspected
which
I was
is
more
annoying,
than what I seemed.
because I
It
really
was the
do like
only way that I could get
those
close to
games, but I just can't
you. Now,
handle them now.
We're about to get much closer.
Yes, it's mentioned on Facebook. If I'm doing one of my extra weekend streams, I plan on streaming the first couple of hours of Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, because they just announced the other day it's getting a re-release, and it is one of my favourite games of the last console generation. But it kind of gets overlooked because in the 1 6-month period you had Skyrim in November, then in February you had Kingdoms of Amalur, and then in May you had Dragon's Dogma. 3 absolutely amazing RPGs, all with their own unique takes on things. And while Skyrim and Dragon's Dogma have both gotten re-releases on multiple systems, there was some rights issues holding up them doing anything with Kingdoms of Amalur, but that's all been sorted out now. And yeah, I'm interested in seeing what the PC version re-release involves, because having recently played it on PC, the 2012 version still looks really good because the whole art style of it. Now, I don't by any chance have... Oh, right, hold on. What do these do? Okay. Now, things are going to get interesting now. I've got enough materials that I can start extracting powers from legendary items. So if I get the right legendary items, I can probably stick the difficulty up a couple of notches, and we can level quicker.
You look like you could use a new item of, indeterminate usefulness.
Right. Now, come on, Kadala. I normally don't ask you for anything, but please give me an etch sigil. An etch sigil would be very, 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 very nice right now.
That is too expensive.
Oh well. Oh, that's
My
a
bags are
legendary.
full.
Right, hold on. We're gonna have to go and salvage stuff over here first. Ah, Demon Hunter only, which is what I'm playing in my non-hardcore playthrough. But hold on, what does it do? Oh yeah, it doesn't have a skill that's well, it has a skill that might be useful actually. Ooh. Now, I seem to recall the singularity is useful. I forget what it does. Okay, what level am I now? Okay, I can equip it in probably a couple of minutes. That will come in very useful indeed. It reduces resource costs, which means I can probably put disintegrate on. Yeah, put that on. We will see if there's any other legendary items whose names I recognize that I know do something useful. The Star Spine maybe does something. No, I don't. I don't want to build another one. I just want to build one and then check if it's got a power I can use for something. Unending door. That's familiar, but I can't remember what it does. I have a feeling whatever it does, it only applies to barbarians. Let's see, can we get a Starburst socket? Yes, yes we can. Okay. We're building stuff up here. So if we just build all these legendary items and nick what, figure out if there's any powers that are just useful. Yeah, the Lost Boys, what do they do again? And actually, quite a bit of this equipment we could actually just equip as soon as I hit level 50, which will not take long at all. In fact, probably if I just pop into a random level, I can probably just do that. If I pop over to world 3, go to the ruins. I like the ruins. And I mean, if we're talking big massive RPGs that I still have only played a few hours of, yeah, I've had The Witcher 3 for about 2.5 years now, and still only got about 6 hours into it. But I have a feeling with it, I think just I'm never quite clicking with the combat on it, so I think what I'm just going to do is go back to sometimes just put it to easy combat and then just get on with story stuff.
I don't have enough arcane power.
Okay, that reducement isn't quite as good as it needs to be, but will as soon as I get back to the camp, because I need to socket a gem into it. Yeah, this uses up the resource quicker, but the fact that it splits off and damages multiple enemies is kind of enough to make up for it.
I'm so good, I astound myself. I need arcane power.
And also the crazy build I've got on Mother Wizard, even firing this off permanently, I'm still almost hardly ever running out of arcane power. Out of all the games I do mean to get back to, The Witcher 3 is the main one. Because I did actually get past the thing that was a sticking point for me. I was having a lot of trouble with one side quest, and it turns out it was because the game just hadn't been quite specific enough for something. So I thought I was cocking it up all the time, when it turned out no, I wasn't.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
It was a very early quest involving the body of a woman that was dumped hidden down a well, and I thought I had to get to the well, but not get seen by her. So I thought it was a stealth section, and I was failing it again and again and again and again and again. And it turns out that no, it's not meant to be a stealth section. You are actually meant to get seen and get into a fight with her. So I wasn't doing it wrong. I was doing it right. I just thought I was doing it wrong. Especially since, well, Cyberpunk's going to be one of the two big games for this autumn that I'm really, really, really looking forward to. I didn't actually mean to go here. I meant to go back to the village first. Town first, because I need to rearrange my gems a bit. Do that. But yeah, in so many of these cases it is honestly just a case of I wish I could be fatigue free for long enough to just concentrate on a game for a good few days or a couple of weeks and just get on with it and finish it. I did manage to do it last September with Borderlands 3. Part of that was because the new Destiny expansion was coming out, and it was like, I need to get Borderlands 3 finished before the Destiny stuff comes out. Otherwise, I am never ever going to finish it. Oh, right, that's it. Oh. Yeah, that's a staff. Right, hold on a minute. So the question is, am I actually better having... Right, the staff, I'm 6,500, 1, 2, 3. But am I actually better having that and that equipped? Maybe. Especially if I socket one of them into that. And then socket one of them into that. What are we at? Yeah, I think we're better with that just at the moment. Right, what does that do? Frost Nova, increased damage against elites. I don't really have any good legendaries to extract the powers from yet, which is a shame. But at least I know if I do pick up something.
Your grave awaits.
If I do pick up a legendary item with a decent power on it, I can just extract it and use it straight away and start building up on something, and then maybe just start leveling a bit quicker. But yeah, I plan on going till 9 o'clock tonight.
How does that feel?
And then if we're lucky, one more session might do it. Oh yeah, down the stairs at the side. Looting.
Your grave awaits.
I'm just a scout. I still have a spine.
And also do them if we see a little mini event like that, just do the mini event because you get a nice bunch of XP for it. And it will get us ever closer to that level 70 that we need. Oh, we got a legendary thing. This could be good.
What happened to the...
He is great.
I see.
That's not a useful one really either. Depends though, does it have what the stats on it? Oh, it's in a dexterity.
He was little more than a boy.
Yeah, if we were a demon hunter or a monk, we would want dexterity, but we're not. We're a wizard, so we'll want intelligence. We're not here. But again, as mentioned earlier, about the audience for games like Monster Hunter, Yakuza, and Persona now, it's so good to it now be not a case of if a game's going to get a little localization and release outside Japan. It's mostly now, when is it going to get a release outside Japan? Because I know Yakuza 7, they announced pretty quickly that, yeah, don't worry everyone, it's coming out. It's coming out in the West, and before the end of the year. Which again gives me a target to try and get through the previous seven Yakuza games before I get to Yakuza 7.
Help me! I can't move!
And I think honestly, out of all of them, the one that am happiest about finding audience. Well, there's Monster, but the one that I kind of didn't expect to find an audience, because I kind of always thought, no, if they marketed Monster Hunter properly, people will get into it, and they finally managed to do it properly this time. Is the Yakuza series, because half of it's very, very serious, dramatic crime drama. Half of it is the wackiest, some of the wackiest, silliest side quests ever in video games. And also, in the past, like I said, they did dub Yakuza 1, and it was mostly a mess, apart from Mark Hamill, who is brilliant. They subtitled Yakuza 2, and then when they released Yakuza 3, they didn't localize everything. The latest one that hasn't come out yet is turn-based, yeah, which is Yakuza 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon, depending on which country you're referring it to. Yeah, they decided to completely overhaul the battle system, and a few people said I've been a bit uncertain about it. I've seen footage of the new battle system, and it looks like so much fun. And you know, after after 7 games plus spin-offs, it's nice that they're not afraid to take a big chance and mix things up a lot. Because apart from Yakuza's, there's also Judgment, and there's the Fist of the North Star one. And there's a couple of others. There was a zombie one that never got released outside Japan, and there was one set in the samurai era that wasn't released outside Japan either. But just the fact that now, if you choose to, you can play Yakuza 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 all on one console is just absolutely fantastic. And I am slowly working my way through. I'm slowly working my way through them. I will get there eventually. Like I said, like I've said before, I do not plan on buying a PlayStation 5 for probably at least a year. So I'll have a nice time catching up with the backlog from the previous generation. But I also love how they've explained why the new battle system is there in the Yakuza 7. It's that the main character is so absolutely obsessed with the Dragon Quest games that every fight he has, he sees in his mind like a turn-based RPG battle. Yeah, but as I say, it's the side stuff that has all the just hilarious, wacky, absolutely insane stuff, including what I describe as possibly the longest side quest in the history of video games. Which involves a young boy asking you to get something from a vending machine for him. Which turns out to be the vending machine with the porn mags in it. And it turns into a stealth section where you're trying to sneak past all the female office workers who are out for like the cigarette break, so that none of them see you sneaking towards the porn machine. And that is just one of dozens of just wacky, fun shenanigans. Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in all the mini games and things in the Yakuza series as well.
I can't pick up anything else.
But the good thing is, because it's taken me and you, Simon, so long to get through these games, Yakuza Kiwami 2 and Yakuza 6 have just been added to the PlayStation Hits range, which means they're only $15.99 each now. And so has the Fists of the North Star spin-off.
I'm carrying too much.
And in fact, I do actually own the original PS2 Yakuza. I found it the other day when tidying up some of my folders of discs. Have I just gone back to the way I went? Oh no, still to kill more enemies in the battlefields, that's where it is. I thought, have I just gone back to where I started? Yeah, the other things with Yakuza games are the fighting system is a lot of fun. That's the most important thing. If you're getting in lots and lots of fights, if the fighting isn't fun, then you're not going to keep going through the game, but the fighting is a lot of fun. And they keep adding extra special moves and things to it that result in some of the most hilariously painful moments in video games. And also it's just the atmosphere. The maps may only be like a few city blocks, but those city blocks are just absolutely packed with stuff to do in detail. And because the main area of Kamurocho is in all of the games, you actually kind of see the area evolve as the games go through. Ooh, right, I'll hit this to pause. Let's think. Working, ones that I know work, I've got 2 Dreamcasts, two PlayStation 2s. One, the disc tray is a bit dodgy, but it does technically still work. An original Xbox, a Wii, a Nintendo 64, an Atari Jaguar, a PS4, PS4, Switch, Xbox 360. So that's 11. I do have a Super Nintendo, but it's not here. And a GameCube, and it's not here, it's still with Simon. So it would be about 13 altogether. And that's just actual consoles. Also, there's a PlayStation Portable, Game Boy Advance, a Nintendo DS. Yeah, so that would be 16 altogether, and 2 PCs. And I can't be 100% certain on the Dreamcast, but I know everything else works because everything else I have at least had hooked up once since I moved into this flat. And it was easy to remember a lot of these because I have just been tidying up the mess that was how everything was set up. Just to kind of tidy up everything for having things set up for streaming. So at the moment, the Xbox 360, the Switch, and the PS4 are all hooked up and usable on the telly straight away, along with the PC. Everything else is packed away, but can be brought out. But in a lot of cases, my PC is good enough I can emulate them. So, and I was actually getting the Wii up and running with an HDMI connection recently, but it was proven to be so finicky that I decided emulating the GameCube stuff was actually easier than using a Wii to do it. It's just strange how it works out that way, but there you go. Well, this is the thing. I only throw out hardware if it's not working. Sometimes it'll get passed on to someone else. Rest of the time I'll still have it, because I might just decide someday, oh, I want to play Tempest 2000 on the Jaguar. I've got all the bits there, I can connect it up. Yeah, because my mum inherited my Game Boy Color, and it's still, I know it's still there and still exists.
I never thought I'd see.
So the oldest working console I have would be the Super Nintendo from 1992. So that's 28 years. But I have some little handheld games that date from 1980 and 1982. Yeah, that's the thing. I never actually needed the SNES anymore once I had my old modded Xbox and my modded Wii, and I could just run emulated SNES stuff on those. Plus, I could run the proper NTSC versions of things that weren't boarded and slow. And that's how I really like the SNES Online thing on the Switch. Yeah, I wish there was a few more games on there, but a lot of the ones I've put on there have been really good. No, I think we still had a Spectrum in the house just before we moved out of Ridge Street. But we kind of lost, well, not exactly lost. It was a case of we had to move out quickly, so we basically had to just throw out a bunch of stuff. So
I need arcane
my
power.
Amiga and Spectrum both went at that point. The Amiga, I believe, still worked, but it was a bit finicky. So yeah, basically at that point, anything that wasn't 100% definitely working just had to get chucked out.
Your defenses are nothing.
But considering how much of a pain it was loading some games back in the day, I am more than happy to just stick to emulating. And in fact, if the Spectrum Next was a bit more widely available, I would have seriously considered picking one of those up, just because I think they look lovely. But it would depend on when they have another Kickstarter for that, if I've got the funds at the time. It'd be nice to have, but it's not something I desperately need. So yeah, I've still got a Donkey Kong Game & Watch, a Pocket Scramble, and a Bandai Missile Invader handheld games that all still work. And the Missile Invader's from 1980, so it's 40 years old and still works. No, I don't. Sounds asking, do I even have a cassette player I could use to load Spectrum games? No, I don't, but there are many, many ways around that. And it was while people were working out ways around not having a cassette player that they realised the Spectrum could actually handle a lot faster data transfer than people think. But the data transfer rate was limited because of the quality of the cassettes. So it turns out if you're using like a digital file and a decent cable, you can get things to load 10 times quicker than normal in a Spectrum without a huge amount of messing about. And even if I had a Spectrum, I need a joystick interface and a joystick for it as well. I have maybe one controller in the house that would work with a Spectrum with joystick interface, and even then I'm not 100% certain. And that's a Jaguar joypad. And I wouldn't want to use that because it's not good. But it's the only controller I've got that actually has one of the old one of the old 9-pin D connectors. Everything else is either special proprietary connectors or USB now. ZX81, the wonderful machine that crashed if you looked at it funny. You had to wedge cardboard in between the RAM pack and the computer so it wouldn't wobble.
This can't be opened yet.
And at one point, when the official ways of getting it not to overheat was to get a pint of milk out of the fridge and put it on top of it. We never had to do that.
I can't open this.
But I believe our ZX81 did just overheat and blew at some point. But by then we had an Atari 2600, and we possibly even had a Spectrum by the point the ZX81 finally died. But one of the things about getting a decent UPC set up is getting all the different emulation stuff set up on it. I've been finding out that now it used to be a bit of a pain in the arse to get Amiga emulation up and going. At this point there's only maybe 2 games I've not gotten working properly. On one of them it was just the controls weren't responding properly, and the other one I don't know what is wrong with Legends of Valor. I just cannot get the menu options to show up on the title screen for Legends of Valor, so I can't start a game. And I've tried both floppy disk and hard drive versions and it just doesn't work. Because I get if the capture card hadn't arrived, I got Amiga CD-TV and CD32 emulation up and running fine, and I was going to give Zool another go because the CD32 version of Zool makes some serious tweaks to the controls and makes it play far better than the original did. And also had Xenon 2 running with the CD soundtrack. Yeah, was that checkered flag maybe?
I can't pick up anything else.
But that definitely rings a bell, and I wonder if it was checkered flag, because it was quite a... Well, I say realistic. For the time, realistic racing game. If I remember properly, developed by one of the Bitmap brothers.
I am returning to town.
Because it was checked flag for cars, and it was a Full Throttle was the one everyone used to play for the motorcycles. Nah, I've not really got any equipment considerably better, so I'll salvage all of that. Ooh, but 52, there should be a new armor set I can build up. Ah, here we go. Shield guard. That isn't... Oh, well, I was about to say it's not much better, but the intelligence on it is hugely increased. Demon's Lock, no. Sheer 8, we'll just build some more of this up. check up on that later, about the roller sellotape thing. It's the only problem with the way my eyes are that I would have to go and get my other pair of glasses so I could use the phone to Google something. It was just the fact that getting 2 pairs of glasses was considerably cheaper than getting a varifocal pair by about 60 quid. So. But here's another one from another nightmare from the old Spectrum days. Lens lock. I only ever had it on 2 games. It only ever worked on one of them. It was on Elite. It worked with Elite. I had also had it on what was it, Ace 2, which was Advanced Combat something, which was a flight sim. I could never get the lens lock to work on it, so it actually ended up getting taken back to John Menzies and traded in. Oh, and another classic Spectrum memory. One weekend, I bought Gauntlet 2 for the Spectrum. Formula 1 Simulator. Formula 1 on the Amiga was actually a game I remembered about 5 minutes before my last Amiga stream ended. I was like, oh god, I wish I'd remembered that earlier. Gauntlet 2 on the Spectrum, I bought it from what was John Menzies at the time. Wouldn't load. Took it back, got another copy. Wouldn't load. They must have thought I was trying to scam them, but after went through 4 different copies, they finally let me just get a different game. So I don't know if they just took pity on me or what. 2 decades later, I found out, no, there wasn't anything wrong with me or anything. They'd cocked up the duplication, and the version that was released initially crashed on the Spectrum 128. Worked fine on the Spectrum 48, but would just load and then crash on the 128. They fixed it in like the second print run, but it was like I felt vindication that that if John Menzies had still existed at that point, I could have gone to them, look, I was telling the truth.
Your bravery.
Oh yeah, the Gauntlet 1 in the Spectrum, I remember playing that a hell of a lot. But the problem with that was if you were playing it on the 128K, because of the way the keyboard controls were laid out for player 2, your hand rested on the heatsink, so your hand would get a bit toasty. And nowadays there's a good few ways to play Gauntlet. There was an Xbox Live Arcade release, which was great. There's Midway Arcade Treasures on the 360 and I think the PS3. It is on PC as well, but I had it and it was a pain in the ass to run, so I went back to using MAME. But actually my favourite version of Gauntlet 1 is the confusingly named Gauntlet 4 on the Mega Drive, which was only called Gauntlet 4 outside Japan. It was a new conversion of Gauntlet for the Mega Drive that added a fantastic new soundtrack to it, and also a new adventure mode that had like one massive dungeon that you could go up and down through different stairs and portals. And then Gauntlet 3 was, well, a bit of a mess.
Need more arcane power.
Then I never owned it on any system at the time, but there was Gauntlet Legends and the kind of expansion pack follow-up Gauntlet Dark Legacy that I only played for the first time a couple of years ago and is a lot of fun. Yeah, it got delisted after quite a bit of the Midway Williams stuff got delisted, but they kind of made up for it because they released the Midway Arcade Treasures compilation. That I think it's $14.99 on Games on Demand. That has about 40 Williams and Midway Arcade games, including all the ones that got delisted. Because Smash TV and Defender and I think Joust and a few others all got delisted at some point.
I need to go back.
Because it was funny going when I got the Xbox 360 up and running, it was had the network cable connected, so it was able to grab all the cover art. But there was obvious gaps in the art, and that was, oh yeah, that got delisted, didn't it? So anything that got delisted doesn't have the cover art. So it's Outrun the 2006 Online, Afterburner Climax, Scott Pilgrim. I think Scott Pilgrim vs. the World still had the artwork. Now, would it have been Super Sprint or Grand Prix Simulator? They're the two I can mainly remember. Because I definitely played Super Sprint a lot. And Grand Prix Simulator was the Codemasters one. Where's Kadala in there? Oh, here you
Let's
are.
see what happens, shall we?
Oh, I've only got 22 blood shards. I need more shards. Yeah, Super Sprint, yeah. It's actually on the Midway Arcade Treasures compilation. I might actually pick that up, actually, because there's a few games on it would be easier to get set working on the 360 than with MAME. Because I can play the arcade version of Super Sprint, but because the arcade version actually used the steering wheel, it can be tricky to get the controls set up. Thing with any arcade games that had funny fancy joysticks can be a bit of a pain to get working right with MAME. So there's a fantastic thing in the SNK Classics collection they've released a couple of years back. A lot of their arcade games like Akari Warriors and Time Soldiers used a joystick that also twisted round, so you could aim in the different direction you were moving, and that was always a bit of a pain to get working on the emulation. But guys at Digital Eclipse who did the SNK collection managed to figure a way to get all of those to control as if they were twin stick shooters. So you just use the second analog stick on your controller to point which direction you want to fire in Akari Warriors and Time Soldiers and all those games, which actually makes the games considerably easier than the original arcade versions, but makes them a lot more fun to play because you can actually control them properly. Because one of my favourite arcade games of all time is the Tron arcade game, which had a joystick with a fire button on it for moving about, but also had a spinner for aiming your arm or your tank turret. And trying to get a decent control setup for that on MAME using an Xbox 360 or PS4 controller has been very, very difficult. I kind of get halfway there, but it's never quite accurate enough or fast enough for what I actually want to do. And the Xbox Live Arcade version was not brilliant. And the control setup on it was absolutely terrible. Oh no, right, okay, wait a minute. Okay, we have been through every bounty, so what I'm going to actually have to do is quit and go back in again. There was a lot of weird joysticks back in those days. I remember the little one. Was it called the Bug, that had the two fire buttons? You held it in your hand, had the two fire buttons at the top, just a little stick you moved about. Some people got on really well with it. I thought it was decent. I think by the end I was actually using a Mega Drive joypad with the Amiga because they worked. I found out one day. But I think, well, my first would have been a Quick Shot 2, and then a Quick Shot 2 Turbo, which lasted for years and years and years because it was micro switched, so it was durable. And I think I probably still actually used it when I had the Amiga until I got not an actual Mega Drive joypad, but a Mega Drive compatible joypad, and started using that. Okay, so I've got 9. Do any of these have anything that would actually be useful for what I'm doing? Increases damage against elites by 45%. I suppose we could... Do I want to take that though? Nah, I want to wait until I've got something decent to put in one of those slots. So what was the first one of them? It was only 6. Act 4, okay. I think we'll do one more run through Act 4 and Act 5. And then call it a night. The bug, yeah. We are both thinking of the same one. Yeah, it was the little one that you held in your hand. It had the 2 buttons at the top of it that you've did your kind of index finger and third finger on. And it had just a tiny little micro switch joystick in the middle that you just held with a. Because yeah, we used to play sensible soccer with that. I remember, and it was really good for sensible soccer. The thing I can safely say about the current load of consoles, all of them have good controllers. Yeah, I was trying to remember if we had a competition for or not. I was thinking we did, but I wasn't entirely sure. So yeah, I think you had the competition for, and then yeah, I got that. It was called the ballistics pad or something,
We couldn't hold on.
which was for the Mega Drive, but it worked with.
Actually,
I'll tell you what, I also remember using the Amiga because I rewired it to work better with Formula 1.
Day or night, and no amount of casualties we inflict slows their advance.
In 1993,
we need help.
Yeah, when like Formula 1, Jeff Cameron's Formula 1 was out in the Amiga, I was a bit fed up of having to push up on the joystick to accelerate. So I rewired an old Atari 2600 joystick so that fire was switched fire and up around, so that fire was accelerated, just to make the game a little bit easier to play. Now there was a joystick that lasted a decade. In fact, I think we still had it when we moved out of Bridge Street, but it got chucked out along with all the other oddments and odd sticks. We had some sort of purple joystick as well that didn't have an adjustable. It was purple and it had 2 fire buttons on it on one side. And I have a feeling it might have had adjustable resistance, so you can make the joystick tighter or looser.
Maiden of Lust, I have need of your ample services. Drag yourself out
what I currently use, the
burning hells you lounge in.
PS4 pad is probably my favourite, just because it's got a better D-pad than the 360 pad. But for the PC, I use the 360 pad just because a lot of games do have the built-in support for it. There's been a few games I've had the PS4 pad plugged in, and the game's kind of just said, yeah, no. And I plugged in the 360 pad and it's worked straight off. Yeah, 2 big yellow buttons on one side. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it for the life of me.
I need arcane power.
must be the hero.
And although most people say, oh, you need to buy a Pro Controller for the Switch, me and Simon have both gotten on fine just with the default Joy-Cons, just putting the grip. The other pad I've got that I sometimes use if I'm playing fighting games on either the Xbox 360 or the PC is I have a Mad Catz Street Fighter 4 pad, which is a bit like a Mega Drive, a bit like a 6-button Mega Drive pad, but actually it's more like a Sega Saturn pad. So it's got 6 buttons on the front, so perfect for Street Fighter. It's got 2 big shoulder buttons. It's just big and chunky, but it's really nice artwork on it. And was also 120 quid cheaper than buying an arcade stick, so.
I don't have enough arcane power.
Because it used to be on the Xbox 360, I had a lot of trouble playing some fighting games using the D-pad on the controller. So I bought the Mad Catz pad and that fixed that. But I don't have that problem with the PlayStation 4 pad. Now you see, that's got me thinking I should maybe pick one up sometime. Yeah, the problems I had with fighting games using a 360 pad I don't have at all with the PlayStation 4 pad, so I've never felt a need to buy a different controller for the PS4. Street Fighters 4 and 5 and everything are just fine with it. Which reminds me, I still have not played the latest character in Tekken 7. I downloaded him in the stage, but I haven't actually played the game since then.
Your defenses are nothing.
Speaking of fighting games, that was something I was slightly tempted to pick up for PC. I think Killer Instinct was on sale dead cheap on the Microsoft store. It was, ooh, it's tempting because it would run on this PC. I keep thinking of games and then I keep thinking, oh wait a minute, I can run that now. Yeah, I still reckon if you don't need an analog stick, those Mad Catz Street Fighter 4 pads are just fantastic. Love them.
I'm just warming up.
Where was the page? Oh, there we go. But saying that, I was considerably surprised to find out I could pull off fighting game moves perfectly okay using Switch Joy-Cons, because I downloaded the BlazBlue, whichever BlazBlue it is that's on the Switch. They've all got weird names, I forget which is which. But I downloaded the demo, and it was actually specifically to see if fighting game controls were okay using the Joy-Cons, and yeah, I was getting on okay. But the thing is, most of the big fighting games I wouldn't buy the Switch version if there was a PS4 version. It would only be if there was some weird thing that was Switch exclusive.
Your defenses are nothing.
The only controller that has ever really affected my hands is the N64 controller with the weird ridges on the analog stick.
I'm so good,
which is something I may experience again soon, because I found the old adapter I had for connecting an N64 controller up to a PC, and I'm going to see if it still works. And if it does, use it to play some wrestling games at some point.
Full.
Seeing as there's a lack of excellent fun wrestling games in the current times. There is Fire Pro, but it's very in-depth and it's its own thing, and I still haven't quite gotten the hang of it after years. But I bought it and all the add-ons for it,
carrying too much,
and I'm like glad it exists. And I'm slowly getting there with it. I was playing as Natsu Sumire and managed to pull off a Bronco Buster move against Toru Natsuko in the corner. Yeah, that kind of still remains my one kind of big wish, is
I'm just warming up.
A wrestling game that is fun and easy to control, as something like Street Fighter or Tekken. And there's one enemy left on this level, and I bet he's away hiding in some wee corner. Oh no, there he is. Because we did get WWE All-Stars back in about 2012, 2013, but then THQ went bust, so we never got another one. Oh, and that's something that was, again, while going through old files and emulation stuff. I think I've got the wrestling game where, but I'm not sure if it was only for the UK release, where they added 4 British wrestlers from the 70s and 80s in. It's one of the Legends of Wrestling games. For the European release, they added, I think it was Big Daddy, Giant Haystacks, Kendo Nagasaki, and Mick McManus. Sadly, the game was a bit rubbish, but it's the thing with wrestling games. You kind of always want to at least give them a chance and give them a try, hoping this will be the one that's really good. Right, stop walking into the big pendulums. This way or maybe that way. Safe over here? Yeah. And again, really, Ep4 is kind of another series that it's been great to see it actually get released over here and sell well. Because it's only the third Ep4 game to get released in Britain. One of them was a game we don't really call a Ep4 game because it wasn't. It was in a formation using Xbox Live Arcade avatars.
Need more arcane power.
Yeah, proper Ep4 games that released over here. There was one on the Game Boy Advance in about 2002, and there was Ep4 World a year and a half ago. A series that's been going since like the late 80s. I did actually think about streaming Ep4 maybe one night, but then I realised I'm not confident enough in me being able to actually play it well. And I kind of want to be at a stage where I'm kind of at least a bit more used to it.
If only they could see me now.
Please free me from this miserable cage.
Oh, it's you again.
Greetings.
Yes, I know who you are.
You can't mean to leave me here. I'm going with you.
We met you last week as well. Yeah, I've currently got I've got access to most I've got access to most PS1, PS2 and GameCube wrestling games at the moment. I do have access to WWF Raw 2 and WrestleMania 21 on the Xbox, but I've currently no way of hooking the Xbox up to capture stuff, whereas the PlayStation 1 and 2 and the GameCube I can emulate.
I don't have enough arcane power.
It says a lot that the best wrestling game in the PS2 GameCube era was the one with the rappers in it.
last of our seers
Well, I know
prophesied
because
the
I was
darkness would
testing
soon
him
pass.
a few weeks back.
He was wrong.
I have both
Mount
Def
Arad
Jam,
exploded
Vendetta, and
took our souls
Def
with
Jam Fight for New
Many
York.
of our
The
dwindling
GameCube
number were
version's
lost
working with
that
everything
day
unlocked.
to madness and worse. They are the unclean.
And I do still have Fight for New York for the Xbox, but again, I can't hook the original. Can be used to sorry, lost train of thought there. Yeah, I just got Fight for New York for the original Xbox, but I've no way of hooking that big beast up to
But we have made a good
anything
account
yet.
of ourselves, killing all
I can get
but
stuff
the
that would
most
let me hook
vicious
up
of the flesh eaters.
the Xbox and
They were once our kin.
the PS2 up, but
as long as even one of them
we're
still
talking about
lives,
40 quid each to get each
we
connected
are
up.
all shame.
Yeah, Def Jam Vendetta, Moses and Chuckles. That was my team.
Your defenses are nothing.
Oh, you got it. Keep going this way. How much we've got to do in this act? Yeah. I bet I'm just going to do this bounty and then I think I'm going to end it there for the night because I'm starting to yawn and feel
Your grave awaits.
a bit run down.
I'll be telling stories about that.
That's not bad. We managed 3.5 hours tonight, so.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
And when I say run down, I mean normal tired run down, not fatigue run down. There's a big difference.
You dare attack me?
Normal tired is okay, and it's fine. Fatigue run down is lying on the sofa, trying to check Twitter on your phone, and dozing off so abruptly that you drop your phone on the floor.
Your grave awaits.
It's honestly the main reason I have a case on my phone.
Need more arcane power.
Kill these guys and build that arcane power up a bit.
I don't have enough arcane power. I can't carry anymore.
Well, just get over here and chuck lightning at things then. Please. Okay, that's.
Your defenses are nothing.
There we go. I didn't quite get 100 for the bonus, but that's alright. We're just here for the
My
extra
bags
smile.
are full. Masters can see me now.
I'm carrying too much stuff again. And I can't just drop the pies. But I will drop all this great normal stuffs and pick up the yellow stuffs. Oh, I'll just have a quick stop of what equipment I've got and my skills.
Safety at last. You have not only my eternal
Ooh,
thanks, but
excuse
also
me.
the thanks of the world at large for rescuing me.
Yeah, whatever. What have we got? Ooh. Yes, that is going to help. What button did I just hit? Wait a minute. Why is it not letting me? Oh, right, I see, right, okay, hold on. I'm carrying so much stuff it won't let me change from a one-handed to a two-handed weapon because I need to drop the other thing in my inventory. Yeah, that has significantly increased my damage output. And I will go over here and remove stuff from what I don't have equipped. And socket it into what I do have equipped. Yeah, that's almost doubled my damage output, I think. So yeah, the next session should be interesting. And actually, I will just go and hello you, Shark's legendary power. Well, that's weird. Won't actually let me extract the one out of the. Oh right, okay. Okay, skills. I'm going to go back to this just because it's. Yeah, this is what I meant. Get that to first. Put that on that. Just because I'm just slightly running out of. Power. Volley of small meteors. Yeah, that'll do. Familiar. Generate arcane power. That gives me increased damage. Yeah, I will just leave all those as they are. Right, so I'm going to leave it there for this session. Thanks for joining me. But it's longer than usual. Although to be honest, if I can, anytime I can manage to do this, a stream this long, I'll happily do it as long as I'm up to it. I will be definitely back on Monday for Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and back next Friday for Diablo 3. If I'm feeling okay either tomorrow or day after Saturday or Sunday, I intend to stream a couple of hours of Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, and just share my love of the game and why you should all go and buy it when they re-release it. Or if you have a PC that'll run it, just buy the PC version. But yeah, we're getting there. We've gotten halfway between where we were and where we're heading to with this session. So 2 more sessions will be there, but maybe just 1 more session this long. More than welcome, Simon. Says the streaming is it's giving me something to focus on. It's distracting me from stuff, and it is basically really helping with my keeping my mental health on the level. So it's just a great thing to just keep on doing when I can. And as always, the stream will be available on demand on Twitch for a fortnight, but it'll also be archived to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Yartek. That's YARTEK, just same as my gamer tag. And all my Twitch streams are uploaded there. There's separate playlists for the Diablo and Assassin's Creed ones, but there's also one just master playlist for just everything I've done so far. So I will see you on again on Monday, if not before. Thanks for joining me, and just hope you have a nice time. Until then, bye.